Alright, howdy, 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 and welcome back to the Garden Nerd. I'm going to take you on the journey for year 2 of what's inside the Hugel bucket. So basically, I've already kind of got the dirt, soil, mix, whatever you want to call it, mostly out of the bucket. I do have the tub and a tarp ready to go to jump it out. Then we're just going to kind of take a look at the wood. I think this is the same tub. It might not be. Might be its neighbor. I can't remember exactly which one it was because I kind of moved them around over the winter. Just kind of clear some space on the patio for snow clearing and whatnot. But yeah, so I'm going to dump it out. We'll take a look at how the wood's going, how much of a breakdown it's been. Because most of the wood was roughly the same, somewhat aged, not super degraded or anything at that point. I did feel around in the shovel when I was doing it and hitting a couple solid pieces, which I'm not very surprised at, because it does take a couple of years for it to, break down. But yeah, enough talking. I'm gonna get dumping, and then yeah, we'll take a look. Alright, so just to give you a little bird's eye view here of what it looks like in here a bit. There's just the dirt at the bottom, and then you can kind of see the stacks, but let's just dump it out. You can see a little bit growing out to the side, not very surprising, but yeah. So like in here, you can see you got some roots wrapping around the wood. I don't know if you can see that very well. Bring that up in a minute. Okay. So you can see here that all the dirt is just kind of here. There's not much in the way of the little sticks and things. There's a couple of twigs here and there. There's some root on here. But what I was talking about before, let's see if you can actually see this here, but there is actual root that is stuck to these. And these guys are still pretty solid. They got that nice woody sound to them, but they are quite heavy, and they are pretty soaked with moisture, which is the point of it. This one is like a little bit more. Here's the really rooty one. So if you can see the roots on this, they are quite all over, kind of wrapping around here, which is exactly what I expected to happen. Like this one's a little bit more this one's just a little bit more falling apart, which is good. You can see, let's see if you can get that, the little flecks of, well, it actually might be mushroom, like from just the rotting of the wood underneath, which is a good sign. Not sure if that is what it is, but I think that is fungal bacteria. Yeah, that looks like, I don't know if you can see it that well, but yeah, that definitely looks like a mycelial type fungal thing, which is exactly what I was expecting to see. And you might be able to see right here, there's this little wormy looking boy. So that's good. This is kind of breaking down. Actually smells like nice, good compost type thing. Doesn't stink or anything like that. But yeah, so like this one, and all of the ones that I did is I put the sticks, I put like the logs down there, then I put like sticks and twigs and then leaves. So all the leaves and sticks have broken down over these 2 years. So those broke down and became the soil there. I don't know if you can see how this is more brown as opposed to, let's see here. and this here is more black. This I just grabbed from the top of one of my pots that are out here. I'll go side by side. I don't know if the camera's picking that up that well, but you know, the top part here, which is black, which is like compost that I used to top off them last year, and then this is the manure, which did have a nice brownness to it when I put it in initially, but I did notice that the closer I got to the wood, the more brown it got as the soil breaks down through non-bacterial breakdown. So like through fungal slow breakdown, it gets a more brown as opposed to like the dark black of compost that you get with more quick bacterial compost, like hot compost. Alright, so now that we have taken a look inside, I'm going to fill it back up. I'm going to put the logs back down. Then I have a little bit of partially composted leaves and sticks and stuff that we'll throw on top of the wood, just to add a little bit more. You know, I figure since I'm taking all this out, might as well kind of refresh the Hugel a little bit. You can definitely get away with more wooden things in there in the bottom, kind of help make a sponge, but with the soil and stuff that I have, I think it's going pretty well. But again, you can always add a lot more like woody material. So you can add more sticks, branches, like little logs and things like that into these buckets. And they seem to be working fairly well. I haven't had to do super amounts of watering on these guys, but since they are, you know, up here, I do, you know, water when the seedlings are getting started just to kind of make sure they get a good start. I'll show you some of the other buckets and how they're doing so far, with just things that are growing in them, just to kind of give you a look of, you know, what's going on. All right, but first I'm going to fill this guy up. Alright, so bucket's refilled. You may be wondering why I'm like punching the soil down, because you want not like super compact like concrete soil, but you want the soil to be firm. Since I brought it all up, it got fairly loose and aerated, which isn't a bad thing, but you don't want huge gaps in air in the where the roots are going to go, because the roots will hit the air and then struggle because there's not soil and nutrients there. So you want to make sure the soil is firm, just so this way there's no huge air gaps. I may water it in just to make sure that it's kind of good and a little bit more solid. But I'm going to plant some peppers in this a little bit later today, so I wanted to have a good enough solid place for the roots to grab into, because while the buckets up here are good and mostly safe from the animals, I've had some issues where they would come in and kind of pull some of the plants up looking for whatever, like the birds particularly. The transplants are probably big enough to not worry about it, but I just want to be a little bit on the safe side, because I've lost a couple of plants from animals just kind of going like, ooh, this ground was disturbed, I'm going to tear it up so I can get to whatever's there, because birds will do that, I found. And squirrels. Squirrels will dig those right up as well. So I just want to avoid that. Alright, so this is the container garden. The black totes here are the ones that are the Hugel. The white ones on either end were there prior to Hugel. They were, done by my mother years and years and years ago. These totes last pretty long. They're pretty good. But in here I just have some like rocket. In here I have mixed lettuce and whatnot. With the soil depth that I haven't had any, issues with any, you know, soil depletion and things, and I usually do just top these guys off with some compost just to add that extra bit. Might not even need it, but I tend to do a lot of crops in these. So I'll do like a lot of leafy greens, which are high in like nitrogen and stuff, to feed on it. So I just want to make sure I give back enough. But the Hugel mounds here underneath, it's just good for, you know, keeping the moisture, as I've probably said 5 billion times. But yeah, so I got some mustard greens here, and then I also have maybe a jalapeno or a carbonara, one of those peppers that I planted here. I'm gonna probably pop the remaining other peppers here and here, or maybe a tomato and a pepper. Not sure which, because up here they do fairly well in these containers. And then yeah, just back over here another pepper. But yeah, that's the Hugel mounds. That's what it looks like inside for year 2, or 2 years after it, I should say. So you can kind of check out the past videos on how to make these. You can also check out year 1 after dumping it out. Very similar video, in case you are wondering. My curiosity always gets the best of me, so I always like to try to see, you know, what happens. You know, see if there's something beyond what I can think of happening. Anyway, folks, thanks for watching. Do that, like, subscribe. Let me know if this is something that you're interested in. I know I don't do a whole lot of crazy videos besides like the garden tours, but if you found this helpful or interesting, let me know. See if I can think of other things to do that might be this, if this is of interest to y'all. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye.